Hi, this is Stephen, and this is episode 13 of Astro Indicator Update, Excursions into Practical Astrology. And this is just a quick episode because I made a little mistake the other day. It really doesn't change the situation too much, but just to set the record straight, I wanted to do this episode, and I'll describe to you what has occurred. Essentially, I had the date for the Fed meeting wrong. I thought it was going to be Tuesday, today, July 30th, and actually their announcement is tomorrow, Wednesday, July 31st. So let's look at the astrology, see if it made any major differences. And it really doesn't too much, but I'll point out what is different. So again, this is the beginning of the Federal Reserve, 1913. Here are the positions of the planets on Wednesday, July 31st, when they make their announcement. And the essential major transits to kind of the natal Federal Reserve chart are the same for tomorrow. 24 hours doesn't make that much difference. We still have a very strong Jupiter transit of, if you can see it, my cursor here, of Mercury, Venus. And when this occurred earlier this year, I attributed the change in policy to a more kind of accommodative, less, rate hiking orientation, and they reverse course essentially. And this aspect represents and reflects that accommodation in my opinion. That's how I'm interpreting it. And it's ongoing. It's still activating the Federal Reserve chart. So Jupiter conjunct Mercury, Venus. We also have another sort of Jupiter energy being activated because tomorrow by transit we have Mercury right here, kind of close to the ascendant. It's an announcement, it's news. Those are all Mercury meanings. Very close to the ascendant, right? When they make this announcement, Mercury is opposite the natal position, the birth chart position of the Federal Reserve. So again, we have some stronger Jupiter expansionary energy. So expanding the money supply, cutting rates. It's a sort of, softening of their policy. And I think that's more of a Jupiter inclination. In addition, something that hasn't changed from, my chart that I was working with yesterday was Mars is still trining Venus. Here we have Mars, 18. Venus is at 19. So this is, sort of an aggressive, assertive, what else? Push towards, sort of activating their new agenda. And so I think that also plays into the idea, and this is what I'm leading up to, the idea that they may cut rates by 50 basis points. I think 25 is a given. 50 basis point cut seems, like some people would disagree with that. That seems maybe beyond the bounds of the majority, guesstimate right now. But I think that's what they might do, is that they might make a 50 basis point rate cut. In addition, I'm looking at the transit chart, and I could have done a separate page for this, but the transits, again, are this outer ring, and we have just tomorrow, and this applies to everybody, but I see it affecting, this Fed announcement, is that we have a strong Uranus energy. Here's Uranus. It is squaring the sun, 90 degrees from the sun, 90 degrees from Venus, which in this case, it's related to monetary policy, money and finance. We have a Mercury-Pluto opposition in the sky, with Mercury being emphasized because at that moment, at 11 a.m. Pacific time, 2 p.m. Eastern Time. We have Mercury opposite Pluto in the transits. And that, to me, is sort of kicks in, sort of the power centers of the world are being energized at that moment. And it is kind of a power play by the Fed. And finally, the only real difference between yesterday's chart and today's chart is the moon is conjunct Venus. Yesterday, when I did the chart, the moon was conjunct Mars. It added to that sort of an aggressive action. But now it's conjunct Venus, and, what can I say? Maybe there's a little less Mars energy on Wednesday versus Tuesday, but we do have, again, sort of a reflection that this moment is dealing with money. It is dealing with finances and the policies that, surround that. So, again, my bias, my opinion, my interpretation of this is that they'll continue cutting rates, and they may surprise us, at least the majority, by cutting more than is expected. Just a quick look at Bitcoin. Bitcoin is starting to bounce up against this blue line, which I have drawn in here, which represents a sort of a resistance area. You see that it's come up twice in the last couple days. I feel if we can get through 9,700 essentially, and we do have a fairly strong Astro key date coming up at the end of this week. Thursday, Friday is what I'm looking at. And the the other orthodox traditional indicators tell us that the odds are that the move will be up. I mean, we're getting into oversold areas in the momentum on the momentum indicators. So with an Astro indicator date coming up, I kind of feel like we're going to get a bounce in prices. One more chart, gold. Several days ago, I was saying it was likely we would get a bounce Sunday evening in the futures market and into Monday, and that's what we did. It's this, again, these vertical lines are my Astro key dates. Everything else is just related to, traditional technical analysis. But here on Sunday into Monday, we had, we had a little bounce and continued into Tuesday. We are coming up to, I'm using GLD here as a proxy, but we are coming into possibly a little resistance. But given what I think the Fed is going to do, I think precious metals, Bitcoin, are a good place to be. So that's it for today. Just a quick little note, a correction. I'm sorry, but it made some difference, but not much. But I just wanted to set the record straight. So thanks for watching. I'll probably have another episode this weekend. Bye for now.